Welcome everyone. So we are second to last review video. We are up to Iran. I think we should get right into it here. So Iran is the only one of the six countries that is a theocracy. This is a government that is ruled by religion, and that religion is Islam. And specifically, it's Shiism. Hopefully, we all know that there is a division within the Muslim world between Sunnis and Shiites. Um, Saudi Arabia happens to be a predominantly Sunni nation. Iran happens to be a predominantly Shiite nation. I actually just received an update on my phone that says the United States believes that Iran was behind the attack of two Saudi oil tankers that happened earlier. This tension has been ongoing for a very long time in the region. Okay, but back to exclusively Iran. In 1979, there was a revolution that was led by Ayatollah Khomeini. This was when they overthrew the last monarch in Iran, whose name was Shah Reza Pahlavi, Mohammad Shah Reza Pahlavi. That monarch wanted to modernize and westernize Iran. He wanted them to become more like the United States, and that got the religious clerics very upset. That is one of the big cleavages in Iran. Those people who would like to focus on religion and those who would like to focus on secularism, which is non-religious views. The success of the revolution led to the Constitution of 1979, and then that Constitution was then amended in 1989. That's the document that they used for their country and what we will study in the next couple of slides. Okay, so the structure of the government in Iran, it's a little bit different than what we're used to. First of all, it's a very centralized and unitary system. So almost all of the power is at the top level. However, of course, there are local units as well. But they never really even allowed those local councils to take part in elections until 1999. But there is, as I said, it's a theocracy, but they obviously have democratic elements, and that's the challenge that Iran faces, which I just explained a few seconds ago. Instead of looking at it as branches, let's just think of it as different groups that all have powers and that all eventually comes together. So we're going to start with this concept of guardianship of the jurist. This is the belief that the religious clerics are the ones who should be guiding all decisions in Iran. All decision making will take place by the most respected group of religious clerics. Okay, and at the very, very top of that ladder is the supreme leader. They have only had two supreme leaders since the 1979 revolution. The first one was Ayatollah Khomeini that we just mentioned. He died in 1989. And then the second one has been Ali Khamenei, and he is the supreme leader as we speak. Although I think they are concerned that he's getting up there in age and they have to think about replacing him. What power does the supreme leader have? The supreme leader can declare war. The supreme leader can dismiss the president. He appoints judges, and he appoints members of the Guardian Council. It's always difficult for me to teach this because it's kind of difficult to do it one step at a time. I have to explain to you what the Guardian Council is to understand that, but it'll all fit together as a puzzle. All right. Next, they also have a president. The president is Hassan Rouhani. I probably should have put that in here. So they technically have a dual executive position, but really the president's primary responsibility is economic policy. So all of the military and war and peace issues are dealt with by the supreme leader, but all economic policies are determined by the president. And he's not particularly popular right now because Iran's economy is struggling. The president has a 4-year term and is limited to 2 terms. The president can also propose legislation that could be voted on by the Majlis, which is their legislature. Okay, continue. This Guardian Council that I mentioned, there are 12 people on the Guardian Council. They are all men. Half of them are appointed directly by the Supreme Leader. The other half are selected by the Majlis, but they're only able to select from a list that is given to them from the top judge in the judiciary. Okay. What does the Guardian Council do? This is important. Any law that is passed has to conform to Sharia law. So they are responsible for making sure that all laws meet the religious expectations. In addition, Anybody who wants to run for president or run for the Majlis must be vetted by the Guardian Council. If they don't meet their expectations, they will be dismissed. Thousands of people have been dismissed. Now, another group is called the Assembly of Religious Experts. They are the ones who select the supreme leader, but it's only happened once. There are 88 men who are on this. They are elected directly by the people every 8 years. Five of those 88 happen to have a dual position. They're also on the Guardian Council. Okay, I think there was a time where they thought that they were going to only have one supreme leader, and then after that, we're going to pick several people, but that never happened. Their legislature in Iran is called the Majlis. There are 290 people in this body. They are elected to 4-year terms, and they pass laws. And like I said, they can pick the 6 of the Guardian Council people from a list. I've seen mixed things about whether or not they can impeach the president. I am going to go with yes, they can, because it seems like the last 2 presidents, Hassan Rouhani and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, have faced that possibility. And then there is an expediency council whose job it is to resolve any dispute that there is between the Guardian Council and the Majlis. Okay, just a list of important things to remember. I've kind of gone over a lot of these already. It's the Guardian Council that vets all candidates. There are religious qualifications, and it will monitor elections. Remember, the president is not in control of the military. It is a supreme leader. The current president is Hassan Rouhani. Right now, he is not very popular. Iran is a theocracy, which is a religious government. The Majlis, Assembly of Religious Experts, and the president are all directly elected by the people. There really is not much electoral competition in Iran since everybody has to meet a certain standard. And the legitimacy that the government gets is either through religion, divine laws, or the supreme leader. Okay, population growth in Iran and women's rights. They were very concerned about the expansion of the population, so the government did something, the clerics rather, that was not necessarily consistent with their views. They encouraged birth control and sponsored condom factories and sex education classes and family planning. As far as women, let's go to the positives for women. Women are allowed to attend college, they can vote, they can drive, and they can run for office. But what can women not do? There are restrictions on what they wear in public. They cannot run for president. They cannot be the supreme leader. They can't be on the Guardian Council. Their testimony is not equal to men in court. They cannot attend sporting events, and they even have some travel restrictions. Okay, next. So they do reserve some seats for religious minorities in the Majlis. Just be aware that Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians do have a very small voice. It's probably just a way for them to get some sense of legitimacy, because obviously they could never dictate any policy. Okay, and like I said, they do have some local village elections as well. All right, what conflicts are there in Iran? I've kind of got over this a few times now. It's really, I would say the big challenge is those who want to reform Iran and those who want to maintain their very strong religious foundation. There was a tension that was called the Green Movement. This is when they really didn't believe in the election results. And sometimes there was even conflict between the supreme leader and the president, but the supreme leader would win out on any of those decisions. Okay, keep going. The cleavages, 90%, like I said, are Shia Muslims. Not sure if it would come up, but a mistake a lot of Americans make. Iranians are Persian. They're not Arab. Another cleavage is the upper and middle class people. They're more secularized. They are preferring to move more in the direction of modernization. And that's that reformer versus conservative split. All right, civil society. Well, when I've been teaching obviously for a long time, and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was in the news quite a bit. He was president before Rouhani. He was known for denying the Holocaust, and look at what he did in Iran: shut down newspapers and censored books and websites and crushed all protests. So civil society really struggled under him, and that's that Green Movement that I just mentioned to you, where they really did not believe the Iranian results were legitimate. If you might remember, we watched this clip and talked about what happened to this guy Maziar Bahari, who was a journalist. He was being interviewed for The Daily Show, a satirical show in the United States, and he actually became imprisoned as a result of it. Jon Stewart made a movie about that. Um, it is improving slightly, but the recent tension with the United States, I'm a little concerned about which direction Iran might head in. Okay, economically, uh, Iran was considered a rentier state because of oil. Remember, that's putting all your eggs in one basket. I do think the government is trying to diversify the economy. Uh, I'm going to, again, going out of order here. There's a nuclear deal that we have to talk about in the last slide. When it was made, an enormous amount of money was given to um, to Iran, and the hope was that they were going to use that to really modernize and diversify the economy. I can't account to whether or not it's happening. I also think there was something where they used to give $45 to every family. I'm not sure if that still is the case. But Rouhani is not popular, and it's really because of the high unemployment rate for young Iranians. All right, the military. Here we go. They have two different groups. Their traditional military is just in in charge of the border. The official, the army, and Navy and Air Force obviously, but the army is supposed to defend the border. But now they have a special elite group that's called the Revolutionary Guards. These are people who are, yet again, appointed by the supreme leader. Their job is to secure the country. And why is this important? Because as of last month, the Trump administration has declared the Islamic Revolutionary Guard a foreign terrorist organization. I would love to talk about this in greater detail, but we have, 72 hours before the exam, so I'd rather you just wait until we get back to class. All right, and last, I do think there is definitely a possibility they could ask you a question about this. So, you know that there are a small number of nations that have nuclear weapons, 8 or 9, depending on who you listen to. But Iran is not one of them, or at least not right now. So, under the Obama administration, an agreement was made called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Just call it the Iranian nuclear deal. And it was not just the U.S. I think that's one of the misconceptions people have. All the major countries, the 5 permanent members of the UN, plus Germany, all agreed to this. And I did explain this in class. I don't know how much you remember about the specific details. Sorry, I got sidetracked, so this might be out of order. But a lot of people think that it was just the United States. It is not. Oh yeah. So what I was saying was the specific details of the deal. I don't think you need to know right now, but it has to do with centrifuges and inspections and everything. And there's a lot of controversy about it, but the goal was to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. And it was agreed upon, and as a result, they received a lot of money. But now, under the Trump administration, they have announced that they're withdrawing from the deal. Now, remember, there are 5 other countries that still are in agreement on the deal, but the U.S. is not opening up the cash reserves that it was previously doing. So, this is leading to considerable attention. I'm trying to be nice about this, but as we speak, this is probably going to become one of the major foreign policy issues in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, I hope the Iranian video helped you out right here, and I have one more to go, and that is Nigeria. Take care.